Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be replacing the rear differential bushing on a 2013 BMW 535i. You're going to find it located on the rear subframe towards the left side. The first thing I did was remove both underbody panels, the one that covers the transmission as well as the one that covers the engine area. We will be replacing the oil pan gasket in another video. So towards the front, we have a 16 millimeter nut right here for the exhaust that connects to the catalytic converter. Further down, we have a brace right here that needs to be removed. We have a couple of hangers on this side and on this side, and then some more hangers over here. The same hangers on the left side, followed by a 13 millimeter right there. We're gonna start with the brace here that has a bunch of 13s, but it also has two 8 millimeters on either side. We'll slide this out and put it to the side. My apologies, I misspoke. This is actually a 15 millimeter nut. Now these connections here are going to be really tight, so you need to break them apart. You can come in with the flathead. There, so now it's loose. And that clamp is loose now. You want to spray some WD-40 in here to get this loosened up. Let this soak in as you start working on the rest of the bolts. Now you're gonna have two 18 millimeter nuts on the back side. This is the differential over here. So we went from the front of the car all the way to the rear. We're gonna work on these two 18 millimeter nuts, one here and one on the other side for the other hanger. Okay, so now we have the 13s to remove from the exhaust and a E12 on this hanger on this side. You have one on both sides. You have to take out the E12 from this hanger, remove the 13 from both sides, and then we'll be able to lower down the exhaust. At the back of the car, you're gonna find this little cover right here. I would recommend you remove this. It's gonna get kind of tight trying to remove the exhaust. This hanger right here tends to get caught right here, so it's best to just not have this. It's a couple of clips, a couple of 10s, and it comes right off. When you're undoing these clips, be careful because there's a lot of dirt and sand, little rocks that get stuck in there, so don't have your head directly under this as you're pulling them off. As you can see, there's a lot of little rocks falling down. This is what I mean. See all this? So don't have your head under here as you're taking them off. All of this can get in your eye and it's not good. The E10 right here, once you loosen that up and the hanger's out, pull back on it and let it hang down like that on both sides. Okay, so now at this point, the only thing holding up the exhaust are the two 13 millimeters on the back hangers. So we got to get the jack to support the exhaust. We're gonna brace up on it just like this. So when we loosen up the 13s, it's not gonna come tumbling down on us. And we'll get to the 13s right now. We'll get the first 13 out and then work on the other one. And this hanger right here, you're just gonna grab this, remove it from its holder, and slide it down like this. So you're just gonna slide it down. And we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Now we need to come back up to the hangers over here next to the differential. These were the 18 millimeter nuts we removed. We need to get them off the hanger. So slide this off, bring it on down, And we'll do the other side too. And here's the other hanger. Just come in here, remove it, and slide it off. Now we're gonna lower down the exhaust, but we're not gonna lower the entire thing because it is still connected inside of the cat. So we're just gonna lower it just a little bit. Okay, so now from here, since this is loose, hopefully the WD-40's gotten to penetrate inside, so this should be easier to slide off. It's not gonna be super easy. You're still gonna have to give it some force because it's on there pretty good. And then you just slide it off and guide it down, because from the front, nothing's supporting it other than you. The jack's got the back, but you need to hold this up and slowly, gently put it on the floor. Then we can go to the back side and lower down the rest. So I ran into a bit of a issue where I was trying to pull the exhaust off the cat, but because the angle of the exhaust was so low, it was actually binding. So what I had to do is raise the exhaust back up to almost near installation position, but not all the way up, but just slightly. And then I was able to easily slide out that exhaust. But be sure you put some a good amount of WD-40 in there. You don't want to be fighting it. So make sure you spray it on there, and spray it on there liberally. So now we can go ahead and lower down the exhaust with the jack. I'm gonna put some skates over on that side so we can drag the whole thing out. All right, so now we'll just drag this out. All right, the next thing to do is going to be to remove the heat shields. It's in two pieces. So you have the back part held on by just a bunch of 8mm screws. You'll see them once you come around here. Let me give you a quick tour. So we have the ones right here. This is where it divides. So you have the two in the back, and these two right here, and then this part will slide off. And then the ones in the front, you have some right here holding onto the heat shields. Same thing on the other side. One here, the two up here, one up here, and I believe, yes, another one right here. And that should be it. Then that'll release the heat shields, and you can just put those to the side, and then we can go ahead and lower down the differential after we loosen the bolts, of course. You can see the old propeller shaft. This is the U-joint right here, and it goes up to the front of the back of the transmission. We're not removing anything over here. We'll just remove the 13s here so this can sag down a little bit. One thing I did find, and you guys should check this on yours, this is cracking, so this needs to be replaced. It's cracking on this side over here as well. What happens is this is going to tear through. You see cracks in your U-joint or your Guibo right here? Replace it. Okay, once you have the 13s loose, don't worry, this isn't going to fall on you. But this is good enough right here. As we lower the differential, this will come down as well. All right, so now we have to remove this bolt here. And there is a nut on the opposite side. So we need to hold the nut on this side as we remove the 21 on the other side. And then we have the two bolts here, one over here, one over here. We'll get these removed first, and then we'll work on the bolt over there. One thing too, these bolts, they're on really tight, so I'm going to loosen them up with a wrench, a long wrench, and then we'll drive them out with the gun. Alright, now for the 21 right here. Now this bolt is going to be tight, really tight. So make sure you get yourself some good leverage to loosen this up. Just for reference, I'm using a really long 21mm ratcheting ratchet. This is just so I can get enough leverage. Once I crack it loose, I'm going to keep spinning just a little bit extra, and then I'll hold it from the other side and put on drive this out with the electric tool. Don't remove the bolt completely from here until you've loosened that nut. You need some counter support, because if you just pull on that without any bolts over here, the whole differential is gonna flex on you. So just do yourself a favor, leave that bolt in there until you've loosened this. Okay, so now I have a 21 millimeter socket on the nut on this side, and then I'm going to go with the electric ratchet on the other and drive out the bolt. Now, in case you're wondering, the differential will not fall because the bolt I'm not going to remove. The bolt will stay inside still. I'm only trying to remove the nut, so I don't have to worry about supporting it just yet. So long as the bolt doesn't come out, you're good. If you see it coming out, then change it so you don't get the bolt out. See, you can see the differential starting to flex, but it's not going to go down. It's just loosening up. See, the bolt here hasn't traveled back anything, so you're good. Just keep going. Check the status of the nut. Still in. There. Okay, see the bolt's starting to back out now. So now I'm gonna go ahead and support it, because if I keep going, the bolt's gonna fly out and then the differential will fall. Okay, so I have the jack underneath right here with the block of wood, so we don't have metal on metal. Got the differential supported. Now we're gonna go ahead and remove the bolt in the nut. I think I have the nut. Yeah, there it is. So here's the nut. Toss this, and now if your bolt doesn't slide in and out as easy as this, adjust the tension you have on your differential, either more or less, because if it's not flowing easy like this, you're putting too much tension on this bolt. So just adjust the pressure on this. It should slide out just like that. Now before we lower the differential, grab yourself some padding or some cloths, and you want to put it between the lower control arm and the axle, because when we lower the differential, you don't want this resting on that. You don't want to damage the axle here. So put some little cloth right here on both sides. You want to come back here and make sure that your bushing has cleared the bracket for the differential, because we're going to put a special tool right there, and that bushing needs to clear. So right here I have enough space to go ahead and start removing the bushing. Alright, so this is the tool we're going to be using. It's the rear differential rubber mount installer and the remover. It applies for all of these series right here, and it's from the German specialty tool. This is the part number. I'll put a link down in the description if you want to buy this tool. And this is what it comes with. This is the tool. I'll go ahead and show you how we assemble this onto the car and how to remove it. So these are the parts. You have they're all numbered. So you have parts 3 and 4. These are for installation, so we're not going to use these to remove. We'll set those to the side. We're going to have this silver looking cup right here. This one's number 2. We're going to have this on one end. Have the threaded bolt go through this hole. Let me pull this apart. So it looks like this. So this part here is going to go through. It's going to go through the old bushing that's in the car. It'll go through there, come out the other side into here. So now you have this in between the bushing, the frame, and the cup on the other side. Then you're going to lock it down with the nut, and you're just going to keep cranking on this, and that's going to force this cup to come in and push that bushing out into the cylinder here. And then once you've done that, you're all set. bushings out. Okay, so this part here with number 2, the part that has a little 10 millimeter on the other side, that's gonna go through this side. So we push this through all the way, and you'll see this is gonna fit the size of the bushing but not extend past the frame, because this needs to go through that hole. You grab the cup, and you're gonna slide it on through. Now you're gonna thread the nut. You're gonna bring this together by hand, and it'll self-align. Okay, so now right here, it's on there good. Now all you gotta do is you just keep cranking on this nut right here until that bushing comes all the way out. And if you want, what you can do is there's a little hole on this tool right here, so you could kind of angle this down so you can see the progress that you've made as you're cranking it down. You can actually see the bushing coming through, so you can see how much farther you need to go. So I'm going to pause the video here, and we pretty much have it removed. So this is it right here. You just keep cranking over and over. It's a little tight, it's a little hard, but you can get through it. What I found is after you do a crank, if you give it like a second or two for the bushing to catch up being pulled, it's a little easier. But if you just keep going over and over like this fast, you're fighting the bushing a little bit, and you're using a little more strength, a little more effort. So if you pull and kind of just give it a second or two and then pull again, those you'll find are a lot easier than if you were to just kind of crank over and over and over. I've also found that people tend to snap that bolt, the special tool rod, if they keep cranking over and over and over as fast as they can. So this isn't really a race, just you don't want that rod to break on you. So definitely just easy pulls like this. Give it a second, let it catch up, and it'll be easier for you too on your arm. And be sure to switch arms if you have a buddy with you. Take turns pulling off that bushing, because it can get strained. Okay, so we're about halfway through. One thing you might notice is that this little rod might start poking out and pushing your socket out, so you might not be able to grab it. There's 2 ways to fix that issue. One, use a deep 24 millimeter socket on that, and the other option would be to use a 24 millimeter wrench or a box wrench to turn that. You may be tempted to go in reverse. Don't do that, you're gonna ruin it. You just need to go all the way through and use a deep 24 or a 24 millimeter wrench. Going in reverse, you're gonna create more problems. It's not designed to go that way. So once you start, you just keep going until the bushing is out. Here's what it looks like on the other side. So you can see the cup starting to push out the bushing. You just keep going till it comes out. It's starting to get real easy to crank this, and I can see it pretty visible right here. It's about right here right now, so this is getting ready to come off. And when it finally does come off, it kind of just like falls, so just be ready for it. That's it right there. Okay, it's out. So you just guide the whole thing out. Don't worry, the bushing won't fall out on you because it's inside of this. It's inside of this right here. All right, so now to get it out, just undo the bolt here all the way. And then it slides out And now your bushing is just on the inside. There it is. And just remember, this is directional. So the part that sticks out, that goes towards the front of the car, the flat side, that goes towards the rear. And it does matter which direction it goes in. So make sure it goes up and down, not left to right. And that the shorter stick right here, whatever this is, see, this one's shorter than that one's taller, this one's shorter. The shorter one goes on the bottom, so it should look like that when you install it. Not like this, not like this, not like this, like that. And then this goes to the front. And this is the part number. You can reuse the bolt and nut. I've done it before. If you want to replace them, these are the part numbers for those parts, the bolt and nut. So now we're looking at all the tools for the special tool. We won't be using the canister anymore. Put this to the side. And we're not going to be using the number 2 anymore. We're going to be left with the rod and this. So the one that has like a little cup, that's going to be used for this to fit into, like this. And now the rod will go through here. It's going to go through here, through the bushing, tighten those down. I put it to about right here, where the rod is kind of flush with the nut, and then push it in. And then we're going to use the number 4 on this side like this. And for the number 4, you're going to see that one side kind of looks like it's got a little indent here, and the other side is going to be flat. The side with the indent is going to go on this side of the bushing. Or for a better visual, see the side with like this, that's going to go here, and it's going to fit over this part. It's going to basically hug around this, so it's going to automatically center itself right here as well. This is how it goes, so don't install it with the taller part facing down. This is not right. This is wrong. This is correct. Sideways like this is also wrong. Make sure it's up and down like this. The longer rod here is on top, the shorter one is on the bottom. And of course, take off the sticker for the part number. The other thing I do want to mention too is you want to lube this up before you try to put it in. So this way. We're going to be using WD-40 since that's what most of you will have at home, so I can see how it works with the WD-40. To clean the inside of here, all I did was just spray it with WD-40 like this. And I just used a rag and cleaned off on the inside like this. Don't use sandpaper. No sandpaper in here. Just a soft cloth. Just clean it off. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is how mine looks. And it'll go in just fine. We'll just add a more WD-40. Make sure we are very generous. And we're also going to coat the bushing. Do not be shy. That smaller rod goes on the bottom. And we'll verify from the other side before we cap it off, because it is going to move on us and we will need to adjust. So I'm just going to hold this here. I'm going to insert the rod. And then we're going to thread this one in on the back side. But before we do that, we'll make sure that it's correctly up and down. Okay, so once you're happy with the position, Now we can thread in that last part. So right there, that's on pretty tight right there. Now we're gonna go on the other side and start cranking on that nut to push the bushing in. So right around here, I wasn't able to crank anymore. And that's because this bottomed out already against the subframe. So now we can just reverse this a little bit, loosen it up, and pull it on out. Make sure to, on the other side, you grab the tool because it might fall out with your left hand. So, let's take a look. It looks pretty straight to me. And WD-40 worked really well. Didn't really struggle at all installing this. Okay, so now we're going to lift the differential back up. Line up the holes as best we can. Now, you want to keep an eye right in this area on both sides because it can hit those bushings and get caught. I got lucky and was able to skate on by. But now we're gonna take a look at the hole over here and make sure they're lining up. Okay, so this bolt should just slide all the way through. See right here, I'm hitting the differential. So I need to adjust the height of the differential either up or down to get it to slide in. So we're gonna try going up. Up didn't work, so we're gonna go down. That was too much, so I missed the hole. There we go. So as I was adjusting the height with the jack, I came around the back side or the front side, and I was able to easily look at the height here. What I had to do too was kind of grab the differential and move it side to side because it wasn't going straight up, just to match up the lines. But once they matched up and I was putting pressure on the bolts on the other side, it just slid right in. So now we're gonna tighten up the nut and then we'll work on the 13s over here. Okay, so I have a 21 on this side, and then I got a 21 3/8 ratchet right here that I can sneak in here. Now I'm gonna hold this one and crank the nut. We're just gonna do this until it tightens up. That's good right there. Nice and tight. So now for the long 13s on this side, you can see that this is way misaligned. The bolt's supposed to go through here. It's the hole for the bushings right here. And on this side, it looks like they're a lot closer, but they're still not aligned. All you have to do is just lower the differential a little bit and then grab it and move it side to side till they line up. Only try to line up one, put the bolt in, get the thread started, and then the other one's gonna line up real easy. So I'm starting with this one because it's a lot closer. So obviously it's not lined up. I'm gonna lower the diff a little bit. As it's coming down, we're gonna move this over. Here I'm getting one of the threads started. You can feel it. It's getting close. So right now I'm not 100% sure if I actually have the threads or if I'm just binding on something. So don't hit it with the gun. You might cross thread something. Just go with the ratchet and see if the threads are actually caught, and see if you can start the threads. It should go in pretty easy. If you have to really fight this, and if you have to make a face, chances are it's not lined up. See, I was able to take it out by hand right there. So I'm still not lined up. Okay, I'm pretty sure I got the threads right here. I can feel it going in. Yeah. Okay, so now we can switch over to the other side. Let's see how easy this goes in. Yeah, that's catching the threads pretty much instantly by hand. So yeah, once you get one side started, the other side will be super easy. Now you just drive this down till they're bottomed down. And I believe they are, hang on. So these are 100 Newton meters adjoining torque, and then after you hit 100 Newton meters, you do an angle torque of 90 degrees. And that's both of the 218s on this side here. And I believe the bolt and the nut in the back, that's 175 Newton meters, no joining torque, no angle torque. Just as soon as you hit 175, you're good. Okay, now like we said before, we need to replace this Guibo right here because it is cracked. We're just waiting for that to arrive. Should be here in about 3 to 4 days, so we'll replace this once that gets here. But because this is a video, you get the part right now. So the part finally came in. I did get a little sick since the part got here, so apologize for that. Now, when you go to remove this, you won't have to worry about anything on this nut right here. This actually is really, really difficult to replace. You need a special tool. Don't worry about that. On the drive shaft, we're gonna have to remove all the bolts and just transfer them over to the new one. Just whenever you do transfer them, just make sure that the bolt and nut go on the drive shaft and the e-torques just go on the differential side right here. Don't mix them up. you're gonna run into an issue where you'll get all the bolts except for one, because it's going to be right up on the very top or off to the side. It might be hard to get to. What you're gonna do is you're gonna put the car in neutral and then turn the drive shaft to bring it down to a more comfortable position. I'll show you how to do that. All right, so here's the back of the transmission. This is the output shaft right here. You're gonna come, here's the oil pan, and you're gonna find a 5mm Allen right here. You're gonna screw that in all the way to the end stop, and that'll put the transmission in neutral, and then you can turn the drive shaft. I would highly recommend you spray this with WD-40. No power tools. Use a 5mm hex Allen only, not a T30, because you can strip this. You turn it very slowly until it bottoms out, and you spray this with WD-40. Now this here, this is a T30. Do not use this. You must use a 5mm hex. I'm only using this because it's not available. I don't have it, but I know how to turn it with the T30. I would not recommend you use a T30 because you can strip this. This is one of those situations where you do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so I'm bottomed out right here. Don't force this. As soon as it stops, you're good. Now let's go back to the drive shaft, turn it, bring it on down. Okay, so now that we have the bolt down at the bottom, we need to go back to the transmission and take it out of neutral so this locks, so that we have something to be able to brace against and remove the nut and bolt. Okay, now that you have all the bolts off, you can use a pry bar to pull back on the differential. On the drive shaft. But before we do that, it's a good idea to remove the 13mm right here. This will allow the drive shaft to move back a little bit. Just enough to slide out the old Guibo. Slide the drive shaft out. Bring down the Guibo with it. Just let it hang out right here. Just keep it supported with your hand so you don't drop it all the way. And the new one, it's not directional, so just feel free to put it on whichever way. We're gonna get it back into the pilot bushing right here. Okay, so now from here, once you have it in position, you're gonna find that some of these are sticking out and some of them are flat. On the other side, it's the same thing. So for the side that has the part sticking out, that's going to fit into a slot on the flange on the differential. So you just move it around till it fits into place. See right there, I'll do it again. You'll see it just slides in place, right there. That's where you want it. And now from here, you can just start assembling the bolts. So just to hold it in place, I'm gonna just start off a few just by hand. Those are gonna be the E-Torx ones. And we'll drive them down. Now I have the torque spec for these. I'll put it up on the screen right now. Okay, so now we can go ahead and do the bolts with the nuts. So here's the bolt. And I'll put the torque spec for these up on the screen as well. Alright, so now that we have everything torqued down, you see the bushing, the Guibo here is nice and new. We're going to go ahead and continue reassembling the rest of the car. So it is my goal to make sure I show you the process of installation as well as removal. I think the installation process is just as important. I usually don't like to just say and do the reverse order. However, on this video, I did fall short of that. I wasn't able to record the rest of the installation process. However, it is easy. It's not that difficult. So when it comes to reinstalling the panels, for the heat shields, those slide on pretty easy. They're held on by the 8mm screws, and the exhaust is going to be the hardest part. Just remember when you're installing that exhaust that the angle needs to be pretty much level as you're installing it. Otherwise, it will not go into the cat. It's gonna, if it's at any sort of an angle, it will not slide in. You're gonna fight it and fight it and fight it. So as you have the exhaust lifted up, make sure that it is level, kind of how you see right here in the video. Because if it's any lower, just like a little bit, even like around right here, it's not gonna slide in, or it will be very, very difficult to slide in. And that's the hardest part. Be sure to add a lot of WD-40 to the cat and also to the exhaust, because that's going to help tremendously when you're trying to just push in those two pieces of metal together. And then tighten down the nut for the exhaust and you'll be good. If you have any additional questions, feel free to put them down in the comments. I'll do my best to guide you and give you the information you need, since I wasn't able to show it to you here on camera. But if you liked the video, if you learned something, if I helped you save some money, consider subscribing to the channel and check out my other videos on the BMW F10. You'll see a playlist popping up on the top left corner of your screen. Be sure to check those out, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.